last time I saw you guys, so the process this whole month on Heroine Comics, the process has been first to kind of develop our character. So this was my character, was Mary Blair. So to draw your character in a couple different ways, kind of figure out what your character is going to look like. And then last week we talked about coming up with a story. And there's lots and lots of different ways to come up with a story. There's no right or wrong way to do it. The way that I showed everybody how to do it, which was kind of my process, was to start with your character and to kind of come up with like a list of traits that represent your character. So for me, my heroine was Mary Blair, and I made a list of her traits, and I said she's an artist, she's a traveler, she's really into color, that was something that really inspired her in her art. And then, and this is kind of a weird phrase, but I told everybody to think small in terms of your story, because we're only doing a one page, or most of us are only doing one page. You don't want to have these epic long quests in your story, because that's just going to be really, 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 it's going to take you a long time to draw, and it's going to be way more than just a page. So you're thinking kind of small. And one of the ins that I was thinking about was dreams, because a dream sequence in a comic is kind of an easy way in, and it's an easy way out, because the easy way into your story is, your character falls asleep. And the easy way out is your character wakes up. And in the middle, you have this really cool dream sequence, right? So I came up with a list of different things, small things that could happen to my character in her dream. And then I made a short script. So the short script was literally one line for each panel. And the first thing was like that Mary was asleep in her bedroom. Blocks are strewn all around. Like there's a block castle on the ground, and there's a cat that's peeking in the doorway. And the second panel, Mary enters a dream, and she peeks through a curtain of leaves. So, and that's the second panel. So the third panel is she sees a pumpkin carriage that's pulled by horses. The reason I'm using pumpkin carriage is because she was she did a lot of the concept art for Cinderella. And then in the fourth panel, she's going to get a ride in the carriage. And the fifth panel, she sees this grand castle through the window of her carriage. And then the sixth panel, she wakes up because the cat has knocked over her block castle in real life. So that's all I wrote out. And from there, because I had that written out, sorry, is there a canvas side that would, I'll get back to you on that, Tater. So because I had everything written out, just in a simple one-line sentence, I knew what to draw. It was from that script that I knew. I was like, okay, well, this is part of the story that I'm telling. So from there, I did thumbnail sketches. So my thumbnail sketches, let's see if I can find my more finished ones. And thumbnail sketches are kind of exactly what they sound like they are. They're just tiny, simple, quick drawings that you draw to kind of get a gist or the sense of what you might draw. And what's great about thumbnail sketches is that you're not spending a lot of time doing them, so that if you don't like something, you can always change it up. So, and you're kind of working through your ideas through these tiny little sketches. So, and I never even finished my thumbnail sketches, but this was kind of my really quick process of like the first panel, the second, she enters the dream, the third, she sees the pumpkin carriage, the fourth, she gets a ride, and then I wasn't sure where to go from there. So I actually started thinking about it, and I knew I wanted to have the panel that told the panel where she sees the castle be one of the largest ones. So I started redrawing it out, and this is kind of where I'm at right now. So, and I'm not totally not finished. I'm still working on drawing in everything, but I started sketching in all of my panels. So the best thing, and I actually pulled this out, are the comic that Naylene and I worked on last time. So this was a finished comic page. Some of the things that make a finished comic page really successful are, it has to be super, super readable. So just the way that we read a book, we read from left to right, your panels need to move from left to right. You can't have you can't expect your reader to go 1, 2, 3, 4, because they're just going to get confused. So when you're choosing what kind of panels and what kind of shapes you want to do, you really, really have to think about what order they're going to go in, what size and what shape. And another really interesting thing, or really, really good thing, is to have a couple of areas in which you really zoom in. So for instance, in this comic that we were working on, we really zoomed in on Daffy's eyes to show his expression when he blew up the rocket, his spaceship. So we actually had like a little, almost like a magnifying lens like panel. So that's something that you can think about adding in to yours. So it's really, really nice. One thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to always have your perspective coming from, you don't always want your perspective to be the exact same. It would be a really boring comic see this first panel was just Bugs and Daffy, and they're staring and they're kind of looking at the carrot and they're like, It would be really boring if the next panel was still Bugs and Daffy, like, having a dialogue, like saying, I wonder, like, this from the front, I wonder about this carrot. And the third panel saying, like, Daffy saying, oh, it must be a dud. Like, it would be really, really a boring panel if it was always told from the same perspective. But you can see that we changed it up. So this is them in the front, and then here we see, like, this is Bugs. Bugs is back, and Daffy's like really small because he's like way in the background. And then all of a sudden we go from like a larger landscape where you see like part of the moon and the landscape to a close-up. So you see like Daffy's face up close. Okay, so it's nice to go back and forth from different perspectives and from different angles to tell your story in a wider sense. So you don't want every single panel to be laid out the exact way. So some of your panels should be zoomed in, some of your panels should be pulled back. You want a nice range, okay? I hope that helps you guys choose what kinds of panels to be doing. Also, don't be scared the way that we did here to break outside of your boxes. So you can see that Daffy's like, the boom is really like shooting, not only shooting from his eyes, but it's like, it's exploding outside of this, of his box. It's a really, really like awesome, like way to like really get a sense of like an explosion. Okay. And it even kind of moves over to show like it kind of connects this panel and the bottom panel, because you can see the smoke is like coming from both sides. So that's like one of the things that I wanted to talk about you. So they focus on Daffy. So yeah, so the focus is mostly on Daffy in this comic because Daffy's doing most of the action. But what happens in this comic is that there's a range of different perspectives. So like if you're thinking in terms of like making a movie, here's the front shot where we see both of the characters. Here's the wider shot where we see more of in this shot, we don't see where they are. We don't see the moon. We don't see any of the rocket ship. In this, we zoomed back. Okay, so you want to think about moving forward. You want to think about moving back. They move back and they see most of the land. Here we zoom in again. If you have dialogue, if you're saying things in your comic, it's always kind of nice to zoom in on the face. Here is a mix of both. We not only have Daffy in like a really dynamic, like explosive pose, but we also have like a magnifying glass on his eyes. So you can really see his expression, okay? And then we zoomed back again so that we can see the destruction that the explosive carrot wrought, okay? So what I'm saying is you don't want you don't want to tell your comic always from the same perspective. You want to zoom in, you want to zoom out, the same way that like a director tells a movie, or yeah, director films a movie, or a cinematographer kind of decides like what angles to shoot from. You want to decide what angles you're going to be drawing from. Okay, I hope that helps your question, nobody. Does anybody else have any other questions about this? Because I know this is like a whole big, you know, can of worms on its own, is choosing panels. But the main thing to think about is that you don't always tell your story from the same angle. You want to change perspectives. You want to zoom in, you want to zoom out. You want to get a sense of, you know, where you are, where your characters are, and you want to zoom in when you want to, you know, get a closer sense of, you know, your character's expressions. Are there any questions about that? Yeah, okay. All right. So I was thinking about this, and this is obviously a much more complete, beautiful piece of work, but I'm working on this now. And so here was my story. So I knew I wanted like an expository shot, or a shot that that kind of set the scene of my character in her bed. And then I knew I wanted to zoom in on my character's face as she enters the dream. And then I zoomed back out because I want to see like the grander scale of where she is in this dream and this pumpkin carriage that comes in. I haven't drawn this one in yet, but this is going to be her getting on the carriage. So it's probably going to be a zoom in of her like probably stepping into the carriage. This shot, I did a totally different shape. I wanted to do the shape of the window, the carriage window, and inside is going to, or in through the window is going to be the castle. And then at the very bottom is going to be the same shot as the first one, but this time the cat has now knocked over the blocks. Okay, and maybe the Mary is sitting up in her bed because she woke up. So there's a couple things that I'm going to do to help kind of tell the story and to help get a sense of real life versus dreams. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're talking more about that next week, but you can do a lot with color. Color is one of my favorite things to think about when you're doing your comics, especially when you're doing dreams, because especially in a dream can be as wild and as crazy looking as, you know, as you want it to be. And it can be a really, really interesting thing to do, to change up like the colors and to make them like, you know, more dreamlike versus you know, more subdued colors in your real life sequence, in your real life panels. Okay, so here's the other one I did. This was the other thumbnail where I started sketching out what the castle would look like. So I'm just going to keep working on mine. I'm going to finish with the castle. I was working on this one, and I'm going to come back. I don't always necessarily work in order. You may or may not choose to work in order. My story does not have any dialogue, but if yours does, then that's something you need to think about too. Oh, that's okay, Tater. You can work on computers. No worries. Oh, no worries. I know you're paying attention. You're good. But yeah, so if you, like I said, I'm here for you guys. If you want to share your story, or if you have questions, if you want us to help you work through any of your characters, any of your story, ask away. Scott, you have to let me know if anybody writes in a question, because I'm going to be, my head's down right now.
No problem.
Okay. So in my top sequence, I gave a couple of hints. Like the block castle is going to resemble the castle that she sees from her carriage window, and on her wall is going to be a picture of a pumpkin that she painted. So it's like the real life has started to seep in through her dreams, or you can tell she's like inspired by things that she saw during the day. But yeah, like I said, I like if you're ever unsure about your story, try a dream sequence for your characters, because like I said, they're nice, easy ways in and out of short stories. That is if you're doing just a one-page comic. If you're doing more than one page, you might want to think of something else. But if you're totally stuck, that's what I always suggest to students, is a dream sequence. And what I'm doing is I did a lot of research on my character. I actually show you. I found this amazing book on Mary Blair. And so as I'm drawing in some of my images, I'm actually like using some of her images as inspiration. So like the foliage in like a picture like this might be similar to some of the foliage that I add on this panel. And the castle that I'm drawing is going to look very similar to, let me find it. So this castle right here. Okay, so that's, I'm kind of trying to work in Mary Blair's style, and her style is very flat, just in terms of like what kinds of artistic choices she makes. Her style is very flat and very super colorful. So a lot of my pictures, a lot of my comic is really going to come alive with the colors that I pick. And I've already kind of thought about what colors and what like how I'm going to differentiate between the real life sequence and the dream sequences. The dream sequences are going to be much more bright, vivid colors, and then the top and the bottom, like the scenes where she's in her bedroom, are going to be much more muted colors. Does anybody want to share what they have?
I would like to talk about something about dream sequences. So if you want to make a really interesting one, you'd probably make it all trippy looking and just weird, like no physics at all.
Oh, like a crazy dream? Yeah, that'd be awesome. I love that idea. You could totally have like an upside down world. Absolutely, in a dream. That's one of the beauties of like working with it within like a dream sequence, is because there is no, like, you can make it as magical or as like, you know, anti-physics as you want, because it's a dream. Anti-gravity. Or like, you know, most people have dreams of like flying. It could be like a flying dream. Or you could make it like scary. It could be a horror, or it could be a nightmare. If you want to go there. The trick is that I always find with doing with doing a page like this, is trying to make it all fit on one page. That's a challenge in itself, is trying to make everything fit. And actually one trick that I did while I was planning this out is I actually started by drawing in the top panel and the bottom panel, because I knew I wanted them to be the exact same size. So I started and I drew those out first, and then I knew I had this much space to work with. And then, so that kind of helped me know how to lay it out and what size to pick for my other panels. So if you know like the beginning and the end, draw those in and then work within the extra space that you have. Doctor Strange physics, yeah, totally. Scott, you're wondering about page size. Do we found somewhere? I think that might be too small, Scott. I think so. Scott, is there a way? Maybe, yeah, is there a way that we can like we can resize any photos they take, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just what we'll have to do. We'll have to just resize.
Okay. So maybe just try to keep things on a vertical canvas at least.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So just what Scott and I were talking about, what size to work on. So when you're doing your comic, if you haven't started yet, you want to work vertical. You don't want your page to be turned this way, or the size is going to be extra small when we send out a PDF of it. So try to work vertical. And try to work like within a regular page size. I'm working on just a regular 9.5 by 11 piece of paper. You can do a little bit bigger, but just keep in mind that it's going to be shrunk down a little bit so that to match everybody else's page size. Tater. That's funny. Is everybody okay on their stories? Everybody kind of know what their story is going to be, or is anybody struggling? Is anybody, because we can always crowdsource information while we're all here. If you're like, I'm not sure what to do for this panel, or I'm not sure how this is going to work. Let's use each other while we have everybody here. You can always ask the group. More minds are better than one mind. Your hair looks like spaghetti. That's funny in your comic. So can everybody remind me who their heroines are? Who they picked? If they were like a historical figure, or if they were a character from your imagination? Oh yeah, you're doing your mom, Nathaniel. I love that. You're picking your own Liliana and Heather and Petra. Is your character's name Petra? I like that name. Yeah, that's a nice name, Petra. You made a new comic, Keen? Awesome. You're not sure, George? Oh, okay. Well, if you're not sure, well, the only constraint is that it has to be a woman, or well, actually, it doesn't have to be a woman. But you were trying to focus on the idea of a heroine, so we'd prefer a heroine if you can. You have a non-binary. Yeah, that's fine, Tater. That's totally fine. All right.
It says I have my character Beetle, Tater's character Otter, and Jay's character Kalini.
Oh yeah, you guys, I forgot. There was a group of you you were all coming up with one together. How's that going? Pretty good? Okay, awesome. So does that mean that like the three of you will all come up with one story, or is the three of you doing like each like a page to make a complete story? We've all got the story. You've all got a story with the same characters. Oh, that's cool. So it's the same characters, but each of you is telling a different story with them. That's cool. I love that idea. That's really cool. How was Ben's class? Did everybody come to Ben's class yesterday? What did Ben teach you guys? Anybody take his class yesterday? You forgot? You forgot to go, or you forgot what he taught you? What he said. It was perspective and color. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about perspective, or I'm not perspective. I'm going to talk about color. I touched on it a little bit today, but we're going to go into it a little bit more. At least I'm going to be coloring my page next week. So my goal for myself and for you guys, if you want to be on the same page as me, is my goal is to have everything drawn out and all my lines kind of solidified. I'm not going to ink it yet. Okay, true. Asgard, that's so cool. I'm not going to ink my comic yet because I'm actually going to do the color first and then ink on top, because I find that that makes the lines more crisp. But next time, my goal is to have everything kind of drawn out and laid out, and all of my my story like pretty solidified.
I'd like to share some images for a dream sequence.
I'd love to see.
So, since my mom runs a cookie business, I drew all of these things.
Wait, sorry. Whoa, that's awesome. Whoa, I love that angry cookie. That's so good. And what are the bats?
Greta.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Very cool. I love that. I totally love that. So I tried to really use Mary Blair as like in her art as my inspiration for everything that I'm doing. So even like the look of the character is tied to her characters that you see, or her characters, to her creations for It's a Small World. She has a lot of drawings that kind of resemble, like they're very flat. There are these children. They're actually, there's like a name, like the Mary Blair child, and it's just I'll show you some of her work. Very cool. Oh, well, that's literally really flat. This is actually some of her work that she did for some advertising campaigns. Let me see if I can even find some more of her characters, or Mary Blair children. Maybe this way. Yeah, like these right here, like these two kids. This is kind of how I'm going to be working. I wanted it to be super flat, kind of very super childish. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use watercolors or if I'm going to use colored pencils to color mine in. I have to make that choice pretty soon. Yeah, these are some more of her like really cute little characters. They're just like super childlike. These characters were also, and then even some things like, so this was a bedroom that she designed. It was supposed to be for a play that was going to go on Broadway, but a musical that was going to be on Broadway, but it never was produced. But this was the bedroom that she designed. And even like the design of the bed was like something that I used it as a little bit of inspiration for the bed in my drawing. So I'm trying to use things that she did to help me and to help inspire my own. I love this one. This is a good example of like the Mary Blair child. This is actually a painting she did of her two sons, her son Donovan and Kevin. So, but you can see how kind of flat her drawings are. She does not use a lot of 3D. Like there's no these are not realistic drawings. They're very like one-dimensional, very flat, which is just her style. And actually, when she made these castles for It's a Small World, I'm pretty sure she worked with Collage. Is anybody taking Naileen's class? I'm wondering how it's going with Naileen, and because I know she's been working on she's been doing collage as well, right? Like silhouette collage. Has anybody been taking her class?
Yes, she has, and she has done silhouette.
Yeah, that's so cool. So here's some more. Here, it's a little hard to see, but this is like a mural that she did for It's a Small World. And it's like a little blurry and a little hard to see, but all of her little characters, they're all just these little round-headed kids, little ball heads with like big round eyes. More pictures of her sons. Yeah, very cool. So, like I said, I'm trying to use her as inspiration. You're taking her class, nobody? Have you been, are you, is anybody working in collage? Is anybody doing a silhouette? I'm curious.
I'm actually using that same flat style with it because I'm trying to like make my mom like flat and not even move.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And this, like, what you're doing is changing your style can be really challenging. Like, that's something that, like, you know, is hard to do, especially when you're just like starting out, because you don't necessarily know what your style is. So it can be hard to, it's really cool. It's good practice though. It's really good practice to work in different styles. That's awesome. I love that you're doing that, Nathaniel.
Tater says, I have a few at the beginning to show where the placement of the characters are.
Oh,
A few
awesome.
silhouettes. Yes, a few silhouettes.
Oh, cool. Sorry, it's extra quiet. I guess that's a good sign. It means everybody's working hard. But while I'm here, if you have any questions or just want to share, just let us know. It is extra quiet today, right, Scott? Totally fine.
Tater says he's considering doing his comic in grayscale or monotone colors.
Ooh. Have you like when you say monotone, do you mean like all choosing one color and doing it like which color for monotone? Like all like greens or all blues? Yeah, grayscale would be really cool. I mean, that's a very cool way to do um look really interesting, especially if you do it all in grayscale and then you had like a hint of color, like pops of color in like specific places. It could really direct the viewer's attention. That could be a really cool choice. right. So I know that I haven't gone into inking too much. We can talk a little bit more about inking next week too. Unless you're working digitally. Digitally is a totally different ball game. I'll show you some of my tricks for inking next week. Okay, so I think that's kind of be the castle shape. There's like curtains that are going to be coming around. I think the curtains are going to be inspired by these curtains that she drew for a concept piece in Cinderella. And I'm going to come back to this one because I have to thumbnail this one out. I have not done that yet. Ooh, I like that suggestion, Heather Rose and Liliana. Coloring your characters themselves, not gray. They would really pop that way. What's kind of cool is thinking about like colors that are nice in contrast to each other. So for instance, like if you did like everything monotone with like monotone blues, but then used like yellow in like specific ways, it could be like those two colors are complementary colors. Or actually they're not. They're yellow, it'd be yellow and purple, but blue is close enough. Like so they work. I just know those two colors work really, really nicely near each other. So that could be really cool if you selectively use color. Okay, come back to that. So behind here is going to be a curtain of foliage of plants. Mary Blair was known for a very like modern sense of style. So like her work is very like modernist, which is kind of a style that's coming back in favor right now. It's like very much like when you think of like Palm Springs, like flat patterns and wallpapers and like really bright colors. So it's just a cool style.
Yeah, I haven't told you this before, but my friend actually owns a very small original Mary Blair painting.
No way.
And
That's awesome.
he showed me one time. It's really tiny. It's maybe like the size of a baseball card. It was
What is
just
it?
um, can't remember exactly what it was. I do remember there was like a building or something with some characters in front. I just don't remember exactly. It's been about 15 years since I've seen it. But it's definitely his favorite piece in his collection.
That's so cool. I actually like looked. I've actually looked in auctions to see if I could like find something for sale. They're really hard to find. But yeah, that's so cool. There's a hospital, I think it's St. Joseph's Hospital, that has an original Mary Blair mural. And when I gave birth, I was at a St. Joseph's Hospital, but there's apparently two St. Joseph's, and the nurses thought I was crazy because I was, it was right after I delivered Zelda, my girl, and I was asking the nurses, I'm like, can you like wheel me past the Mary Blair mural? And they all were like, what? And I was like, where's the Mary Blair mural? And she was like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So I looked it up later, and it was the other hospital. There's two St. Joseph's. But they thought I was crazy. Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna do flowers up here, I think. Yeah, I think there's gonna be flowers instead of leaves. Maybe I'm gonna look through some of her work and see if I can find a flower shape that she, oh, there's one around the cover. Actually, I don't like that one. Let's keep looking. Right. This is cool. This is a feature that she worked on for Disney, one of her very first features, but it was one that was never produced. It was supposed to be about a girl named Penelope, who was a time traveler, a time traveling girl named Penelope, but it never got made, which is such a bummer. But there's like the Mary Blair child. It's right there. Sometimes I see these things and I'm like, oh, I really wish that this had been produced. That would have been a really cool cartoon. This was all from Penelope. These are all concept pieces that she was doing. I love the colors on this. And you can even see, like, even back then, like when she first started to work for Disney, like you can see like her, like in her buildings, like the hints of what would become It's a Small World. It's supposed to be like Russia.
That bird that I actually saw from that canceled.
This bird?
Yeah, that kind of looks like from the Three Caballeros.
It is. It totally is. I think she must have used, because she worked on the Three Caballeros too. I think she must have used that same bird. Like, I wonder if there's some images back here for.
Yeah, because the Three Caballeros looks a lot like Mary Blair's drawings.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I have a weird punctuation of saying things.
No, you're totally fine. And you're totally right. You're absolutely right that it, like, 100%. I guess I don't have any photos from that one. Huh. I know I printed one out, but this is one of her earliest works for Disney. It was a concept for what became 15 years later became Lady and the Tramp. It's told through like the perspective of a dog. So this is like, you know, a busy street, like from down low. So from like, imagine you're like dog size and you're looking up, so all the people look really big. So Cinderella, Alice, and Peter Pan are her three biggest ones. I love this one for Cinderella. Both of these ones, like the scale, like how she just manages to get these like really grand rooms. Like this is like how, look how dwarfed like by this, like it's an exaggerated scale. So look how tiny the king and the king and his, I guess his butler look. Like in this giant like gilded room with the chandeliers. And then compare that with the like the I guess it would have been like the drawing room in Cinderella's stepsister's home. It's like very like kind of prissy. Everything's kind of very prissy. I don't know. I love her interiors. I think they're so cool. I know they are really pretty. I love her work. There's something very like at once very childlike, yet also just quite beautiful about her work. But you can see how she works a lot with like everything still is very flat. Like there's no, I mean, there's not really a sense of like depth in her work. It's all very flat, and she goes in and she does a lot of like little tiny details.
That one image right there kind of looks like the ballroom scene from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, I wonder if she was like one of the, like she definitely did not work on Beauty and the Beast, but I wonder if her work was an inspiration for it. There's some Alice in Wonderland pieces that she did, concept work. This one's one of her most famous ones.
I just love the way she draws Alice. It just kind of looks
What's
like
that?
just one color. And
Say that again, Nathaniel?
I just love the way she drew Alice because it just kind of looks like one color and it just without the lines on it, and it just looks really good.
It's so cool, right? You can see she's just masterful with colors. Oh, there's Peter Pan. There's some concept art. This is the abstract shape for Neverland that she drew.
It kind of looks like Neverland was in space.
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, imagine, like, we don't know where Neverland is. Maybe it is in outer space. Maybe it's underneath the ocean. Maybe it's like, we don't know. Where is Neverland? It's not on the map. So neat. Yeah. I was gonna pull up the, oh, this was Cinderella's Dream Castle. So I kind of was using this as like kind of a little bit of inspiration for the this combined with It's a Small World for my my panel for castle. And then there's all of her advertisements. I was trying to find, there's one picture in here that it showed how closely the colorist kept to her drawings when they were doing, oh, I thought it was Peter Pan, but let's see. There's a couple of things I actually haven't seen. Susie and the Blue Coupe, I have never seen that. Has anybody ever seen that before? Let's see. Cinderella. Oh, I love this one with like the billowing curtains, like the sense of like billowing, like also grand. Like I love how her, in a lot of these scenes, how her characters are just dwarfed by like the size and scale of these huge like spaces, and then combine that like, or contrast that with Alice when she gets too big. When she grows, you can, it's so cool. They're very different. And then there was one more down, oh, these ones down here, these ones are kind of classics. I don't know if you can see that one. It's kind of dark, but it's the castles, or it's the guards as they chase after her carriage. And it's just like her use of color is really bold there. And you can really get a sense of like movement and like a rush.
All these images kind of remind me of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
You know what? She worked on Ichabod and Mr. Toad. That was something that would, there we go. That's her. So you were absolutely right, Nathaniel, because that was her. Very correct.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's her right here. This is, see, these are two concept paintings for The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. She did it in 1949. That is her. And she also did two concepts for the Johnny Appleseed sequence, which I've actually never seen. I've got to go back and see if I can find it. She also was just like a really fabulous watercolorist. Trying to find some of the watercolors. Yeah, these ones. These are, so remember I might have mentioned that she went on this Goodwill tour of South America, and these are some of the paintings that she made on location in 1941. It was like kind of right like at the beginning of World War II. Piano key art. Where was the piano key art? I don't remember where that. Did I pass it? Oh, that one. Yeah.
It just reminds me of a scene from Dragon's Lair 2.
Yeah. This is when she's visualizing the rhythm and the musical colors of the samba. And this was a caricature of Mary Blair that somebody else made. That was not by her. That was of her. It was by an artist named Jack Miller. These were the designs for the 3 caballeros. Like she did designs for the costumes. What else? These are watercolors that she did. That's actually a painting that was done by her husband, was an artist. And so he painted her. They're both artists. And these are watercolors. That's a watercolor that she did, a self-portrait of her. She did. Like her use of light is really interesting in this, like how striking the light is on her. Oh, here's the 3 caballeros right there. You can see you can definitely see like the Mary Blair child shape coming through in those like little figures. All right, sorry, I went off on a tangent because I'm fascinated by her. Yes, it does, Keen, you're absolutely right. And I only got 1 panel drawn, but that's okay because I'm gonna work on this a little bit more over the week so that I can have it done a little more finished so that I can, oop, didn't mean to turn that off. I meant to switch camera so you can see my face. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. I got distracted by her work just because I'm fascinated by her. But all this stuff, she looks like things from other cartoons that came later. It's true, Nathaniel. Like she probably, like, I mean, she's pretty inspirational. So a lot of her work could have inspired other Disney artists and other animators that came after her for sure. So like I said, I only got 1 panel done, but my goal for myself is to have everything drawn out, all the panels drawn. I'm not gonna start coloring it until next week. And I'm also not gonna ink it until next week because I'm gonna do the color first and then ink it on top so that the lines can be like a little more crisp. But does anybody wanna share anything that they did? I know today was a lot of me talking and showing you Mary Blair artwork. But if you would like to share, now is a great time. And if not, if you wanna share later, no worries.
I'd like to share.
Awesome, Nathaniel, I'd love to see.
So this may just look like scribbles, but I tried drawing out a dream scene and it just went out to look like scribbles.
Hey, maybe a dream scene is like scribbles. Like that's really cool. Oh, I like it. It can be like with a dream, like you can really go anywhere your imagination takes it, you know, like you can, you know, trees can be, you know, made out of flames, or, you know, you can have upside down houses. Like you can really take it into like a really like wacky place. Oh, thank you, Laura. Oh my gosh. I saw that Liliana and Heather Rose want to share. Go ahead, girls, and then one more thing, and then it's time to go. Unless anybody else wants to share. Go ahead, guys.
Our characters were supposed to originally be for medieval times, but since that would take a very long time because we'd have to do a lot of research, we decided to switch to modern day.
Nice. Yeah, nice characters. It's true. When you're working with medieval, you have to like research the costumes and like what things they have prop wise. Very cool.
So we do have character designs for the medieval times too, but
that's awesome. Well, you want to share those or no? I would love to see. Oh, awesome. I'm getting Robin Hood vibes. I love that dress with the billowing skirt. That looks awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, Tater Tot wants to share, and then Rose, whoever Rose Brick Studios is, would also like to share. I'd love to see. Tater Tot, do you want to go first?
I don't see either of their cameras.
Yeah, your cameras have to be on to share. While we're waiting, don't forget to donate. Scott put the link up. That's how our doors stay open. It's how we can teach all of these classes. So please don't forget to donate. Ooh, nice, Tater. Awesome. I love it. I love you have the exposition shot, so you get like a wide sense of like your characters and you have them in silhouette. That's awesome. Nice. And then you zoomed in. Oh wait, we lost you. Okay, that's okay. But I loved it. From the quick thing I saw that exactly what we want to see. You were taking everything to heart because you started off with like an expositions like panel where you see the whole space and then you zoomed in on your characters, which is awesome. Very nice. Very cool.
Here's Rosebrick.
Yeah, Rosebrick. Hi. Oh, cool. Wow, that hand, you have some really good perspective going on in that, in the foreshortening.
Thanks. I really just sketched it out. There isn't really any fine lining, as you can see with this person.
That's okay. That looks great. Wow, very graphic. Nice.
Thank you.
Who is your heroine, or who is your character?
Well, right now I really just have an antagonist. This was just a short thing that popped in my head. And not really sure where it's gonna go after this, but yeah.
That's awesome. Very nice. Very, very nice. Like great style. I love you. I can tell that you have a strong style already coming forth. Very dynamic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good work. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you took something today, either whether it was me just talking about Mary Blair or some thoughts and ideas on layout, because if I can get anything across today, that is that the goal of your comic is to be read, right? So whatever you want to do, you want to make it as clear and readable as possible. So you don't want to, you don't want the reader to have to work in a circle. You want to make sure that it's clear, that it's readable, and variety is always good. So variety of different shots, zooming in, zooming out, different perspectives makes your comic a stronger page. All right, guys, everybody did do amazing. Thank you, Rosebrick Studios. You guys, thanks for those of you who shared. If you didn't share, no worries. I'm sure you guys have awesome stuff too, and I will see you guys next week. All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.